What's up, guys? Welcome to the Linecheck podcast. It's me, Brennan, your host, and today I'm in studio with Hanalei Souza. How's it going?
Good.
Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
So most of you guys know me as Ladylinecook. My real name's Hanalei Souza, but I make videos online about being a chef. I also am a full-time sous chef and started working in kitchens about 6 years ago, but during 2020, so I started in 2018. Mm-hmm. So obviously I was just getting started. I was excited to get started in the industry and be a cook and all that. And then everything shut down. So I was bored. I was at home. And then I was just like, let me make a meme page. And then I ended up creating Ladylinecook, faceless, nameless, and then started making the TikToks, the videos. They weren't TikToks, they're the reels. Yeah. I didn't get on TikTok until like last year. But the TikTok style videos, just short videos, and it started to, people related to it as cooks, as people in the industry. And so just kept making them. And then I ended up even writing a book about my experience in the kitchen and keeping on with the content. So
what's the name of your book?
So the book is called Nice Work Boys. So that title came from my time working in the ski resorts. Because before I was a chef, I worked in ski resorts. I love to snowboard. That's what brought me to where I live.
I'm horrible at snowboarding.
Yeah.
I wish I could be good.
Yeah. It takes practice, just like cooking. So I was working in the ski industry, and I was one woman out of 30 men in my department. And then I got promoted to supervisor. And that was just such an interesting and fun time in my life. And I had a lot of fun. It was a great experience and wanted to write a book about it. And the title came from when I was working that job and we had our ski clothes on and everything, and they were really baggy. So people would go past us and say like, nice work, boys. And it was just kind of funny because at one point, like the fifth time I heard that, they were like, I thought to myself, if my life were a book, that would be the title. Mm-hmm. And then I went from there working in restaurant kitchens and also heard the same phrase thrown at me. And I wasn't like offended about it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm so offended that they would say nice work, boys. Like it's just something that people say. And it was kind of funny and ironic. And it was the guys that I worked with that would correct them and say, hey, it's nice work, boys and girls. Or so that was, I like the title a lot of that book, but that is basically a kitchen memoir that also has a couple chapters that happen in that ski resort job before I worked in the kitchen. What
made you decide to cook?
I cooked since I was a kid, so I've always been passionate about it. I did want to live that snow bum life for a bit, so I moved to the mountains to ski or to snowboard. Ended up working that job in the ski industry, which was great for the winter, but then I needed a summer job. Yeah. And so I just got married, so my husband encouraged me to find a line cooking job. He went on Craigslist and found me one and said, you need to apply because you're really good at cooking. And so I was like, fine, I'll do it. And then I'll do a summer job and then I'll return to my winter job. So that was in 2018, got my first line cooking job at this tiny little hole in the wall, mom and pop seafood place. And I do like that I started small because I learned every station. I learned prep, I learned grill, I learned saute. And then with all that experience, my second summer, because then I went back to the ski resort. My second summer, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go and get my butt kicked at the busiest restaurant in town and just see if this is for me. And then 5 years later, I'm the sous chef at that restaurant. So I guess I stuck around. Yeah.
How was it when you first started at that, where you got your butt kicked? How hard was it when you first started there?
I feel like it was difficult, but in a way that was inspiring for me to be like, okay, I think I can do this. Like, I want to be good at this. And it was difficult. And my first few rushes, not even my first few, like my first couple of years of being in the weeds was like, I was putting out bad food and it would take me an hour. And it was like, I mean, we all had those moments. And I didn't even go to school for this either. And I didn't have any other restaurant experience. So this was just my first.
I mean, the best experience is working in a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I always say.
It comes out quicker than it does in school.
So the butt kicking was brutal for a bit, but It's unavoidable.
Yeah.
Like you can't be like, oh, I want to go work in restaurants. I want to cook for a living. Even if you don't want to do restaurants, like you just want to start off as like a private chef or something, and you're going to get your butt kicked. You're going to fail.
Regardless, in different ways.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was reading in your bio on your website that you kind of inspire other women in kitchens and how tough it could be to work in a kitchen as a female chef. Do you have any advice for any woman to like kind of just make it easier on themselves in a kitchen? The culture is changing a lot right now.
Yeah, I do think it's changing.
It was a lot different even like say 5 years ago.
Yeah, or even like before I started.
Yeah.
I feel like I started at a good time. But that's what my book is about. That's why the title Nice Work Boys. But I would say if I could say one thing, it would be yourself. Don't feel like you have to change who you are to lead or to fit in, or don't feel like you have to show up to work every day as someone that you're not. Then you're not going to lead with like a confidence and a way that you would lead if you were showing up to work, being able to be yourself and be naturally like who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely nice to see more women in kitchens.
Yeah,
the last restaurant I was working at, currently right now, there's only women in the kitchen. There's 2 guy chefs.
Yeah, how many total in the kitchen?
I think there's like 7 or 8.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool and very rare.
Yeah.
So yeah, the head chef and then the CDC. And that's kind of like it almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I have been seeing that more. Like a lot of people will be like, actually my kitchen's like more women or more men. And it's not even just in pastry. It's like
everyone can handle the line now these days.
Yeah. I think they see it
universal.
more. Yeah. They see it more, and then it, there might be a couple women and they might be like, hey, you should come work with me because it's great.
Yeah, and there's like there's no limitations in a kitchen. It just depends on whoever like is in charge to make it hard for them if they want them to. Yeah. But the limitations are limitless.
Yeah. No, that's why I love the industry. Like something I always say is if you want to work hard, if you want to be in the industry, you want to be a chef, you want to have success, and you can work hard and you want it, and you want to put the time in and put in the hours, like nothing else, nothing will stop you. Like you don't need the schooling. You don't need to fake your way through it. You can't rely on your resume. Like it might work in the short term, but long term, it's not like you can't fake anything as a chef. You can't just use enough corporate jargon or kiss enough butts. Again, it might work in the short term, but if you want long-term success, like if you have the hard work and the drive, that's literally all you need. Yeah.
Couldn't say it better.
Yeah.
What are your plans for Ladylinecook moving forward? What do you want to do with your culinary career? Like after you're like maybe done working as a sous chef at where you're at right now?
I don't know. Like I feel like 5 years ago, I didn't see myself as a chef at all. So it's hard to think about like what 5 years from now looks like. Because if you'd asked me 5 years ago what I wanted to be, I would have said I want to run ski resorts. Like I want to be out in the mountain and snowboarding and doing that field and maybe cooking at home.
Maybe you'll have your own ski resort.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think, in terms of Ladylinecook, like the online presence, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, continuing to grow and expand that in the way that's natural and seems like a next step. I'm definitely working on an audiobook, not a second book yet. I know that's probably like the natural next step, but writing one book like took all my writing from my brain.
How long did that take to do?
That technically years. So years of journals that I always kept for like 3 or 5 years worth.
Got it.
But I didn't write those journals thinking it was going to be a book. I kind of just kept them because I just like to remember what happens in my life. And it was a way to decompress and kind of an outlet for me. So yeah, that. But then at like the end of 2020, I was inspired to turn it into a book. And so that came together really quickly because I had the journals. So I was like going through and typing the stuff from the journals into the computer, moving stuff around, like making the storyline work and tying together themes. So that took a couple weeks to like put the first draft together. Then the editing is what took a long time though, because I thought it was good. I hired an editor. He ripped it apart. And then for the good, like I was kind of a little bit in shock when I got my first edits back. But then in the end, I was like really glad that I did that. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, it's just some grammatical stuff and then it should be good. And then he was like, tore it apart and ended up rewriting tons of it. But I'm really glad that I did that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's their job. And they're perfectionists.
Yeah. So that took a couple months. So from start to finish, it was like 9 or 10 months, which is really quick.
That's fast.
For a self-published book, yeah. I feel like when you're self-publishing, you have control over the timeline instead of having to wait years and years for your agent and then the publisher and then not having all your freedom to do whatever you want with it and all that stuff. So
yeah, that's like a realm of that I don't know of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole world. Even I'm not.
Yeah, maybe I'd like to make a book one day.
Yeah.
I always thought like maybe a cookbook or I don't know, maybe a Linecheck book with recipes from every guest chef.
Yeah, or
on
stories
here.
From
cool.
people. Yeah.
Or stories.
I just love people's stories.
We have a really cool zine right here.
Yeah, no, I see that.
Parivar, and they're like guest checks with people's stories in there.
Oh,
people that work in restaurants.
Industry. Yeah, I was part of a couple or one or two industry magazines. It's cool to see all the industry media.
Yeah, we're starting to get noticed now.
Yeah.
Usually it's just been the celebrity chefs that just get noticed and like everyone else, line cooks or, bartenders, just like, oh, I'm just a worker.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
We're definitely having a moment on social media, I feel like. I mean, between Drew Talbert and, I met Chef Rocco and Drew Talbert while I was down here. So it's cool. It's cool to see those other creators and just people from both sides of the house or all areas of the industry who are just regular people.
Yeah, we're normal
and
people.
actually worked in the industry for years and they get it. And I think it's cool seeing all these pages because that's part of why I created Ladylinecook is because 4 years ago when I started my page, there was one account doing kind of like chef humor. They're based out of England. We're good online friends. I'm going to meet him one day there, but he was like the only one putting out chef memes and there was literally no one else. And now it's cool to see like, okay,
there's a lot now.
Yeah, there's a lot and it's cool.
Algorithm, it's popping up
and I don't
everywhere.
feel like they're competition. It's like, these are my online friends.
It's just
so it's really
fun
cool
to watch because we all get it. Like kitchen hacks or I think the funniest ones to me, like stealing someone's towels or
like not just like there've been cooking content creators forever, like people showing recipes and showing how to cook. And those are great. But I think there's been an influx for sure of like chefs making content for chefs. That's relatable. That's funny. Only if you've worked in an actual kitchen.
You only get it.
Yeah. Or been a server or whatever. So
have you seen, I don't remember when it came out, but it was like The Office, but for
I think,
chefs.
was it tied to True Cooks or something?
No,
I feel like I saw it now.
It was called like Whites or something like that.
Oh, was it Whites?
It's like a BBC.
Was it BBC? Yeah. Oh my God, I love that show. I could quote it right now.
There's only like one
the
season,
eggless omelet one.
The eggless omelet.
Chef.
And I like think of that as
a man on table 7 wants to know if he can have an eggless omelet. And then he puts the parsley on the plate and then she almost takes it with her.
Yeah.
I love that show.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
But if anyone's never watched it, you should all watch it because that's like peak kitchen humor.
I only saw clips of it because it's BBC.
They have the whole season, I think, on Amazon.
Okay, I need to check it out.
I watched
You can see a lot of clips from YouTube, though.
YouTube for sure definitely has it. Like
eggless omelet's probably the most famous.
I think that's the name of the show, Whites. I'm not sure.
It's BBC Whites.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you type that up, it'll come
kitchen
up.
humor, I love it.
Yeah.
You have any other like stuff? I don't, for some reason it's hard for me to think about these things,
No, I feel like
I'm sure
there
these
have been
always come through your always going through your brain. You're just like, oh, I got this idea to like make this video about something I saw in the kitchen today. Like for me, I don't know, like I'd have to think too hard.
For me, inspiration's everywhere now. Like after I started making videos, I kind of see, like you should see my notes app. Like it's the most random things, but that's where my inspiration comes from. I don't sit down and come up with the stuff because I couldn't do that. So I feel like, once you start looking for funny things everywhere, you'll start seeing it. And I feel like a story that someone tells at work could become like my next video. So it's kind of funny too, because my coworkers will watch and then they'll be like, oh yeah, that happened yesterday. I'm like, yep.
There's when I was working in kitchens a lot more, I'd always like Asian squat after service and like eat something.
Yeah.
And everyone would always take a photo of me because I'm like in the
Yeah.
corner, like this,
Yeah.
like this eating. And he's like, oh, service is over. Or, you know, when
Yeah.
Brennan's doing that, service is done.
And
Something
man,
like
not
that.
even a crate.
Yeah, no crate. No, I'm half
Crates
Asian.
yeah. Yeah,
But
same.
yeah. So, yeah, I just think those things are funny. And I saw someone else posted something where they like use their leg to kick the oven door back or close it. Or like, stuff like that. Like, I don't think about it, but I do these things.
Yeah.
And then when you see them on Instagram or TikTok,
Yeah.
you're like, oh shit, that's funny because I do
I feel
that
like
too.
my kind of videos, they say the quiet part out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Like every chef has said 2-minute chef and they haven't fired it, right? And that's, I feel like that's one that I use. I used it in a couple videos ago, but I think that's something that we've all done and we don't want to admit it. But then we're like, oh, actually, that's pretty funny because I've totally said 2-minute chef and it's definitely not 2
been
minutes.
over 2 minutes.
But that's like every line cook. I don't care how good you are.
Unless
like,
you have a timer.
Exactly.
And you are
yeah.
really good. But
Yeah.
most of the time, yeah.
I had a server who used to like count down when he would say 90 seconds. And one time the other line cook like told him to shut up and go away. And I haven't heard him do that since.
Dang. I actually like the timer.
Yeah.
I remember when one of my chefs gave me a timer and I would use it as like a way to get faster.
Yeah.
And I'd always like beat the clock. But yeah, I think everyone should have their own handheld timer. So
Yeah.
it's like order fire, boom. Okay, here, get this out as fast as you can. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, majority of times when you say like whatever, 2 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And for me, like watching it, I'm like, it's already been more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
or the line cook 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30
Line cook 30 seconds is like, that one's 2 minutes. A line cook 2 minutes is like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you.
Yeah. But it's again, that's like we say the quiet part out loud. Like you're not going to
because we
say that. They don't talk about that on the Food Network.
We already have bruised egos.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to make it worse.
Yeah, but it's funny because then you see that and you're like, oh, it wasn't just me. Like, I'm not just a liar. It's like everyone's done that. So, yeah.
Food Network, when they do like the countdown, I heard that the food just sits there for like ever.
Yeah.
After they're done making it. So then it's just cold by the time it actually gets to the judges. It's pretty funny. Those are like TV hacks.
Yeah. I know I hear things about Hell's
about.
Kitchen too, but I've met a couple Hell's Kitchen people like through my online connections now. I feel like they can't talk about it too much, but there's rumors about how like, oh, they'll sabotage the stove and turn the heat way up. But I was like, I don't know how much of this is true. Like, I know what they did tell me though is that they're super sleep deprived.
Really?
That was kind of like all I really got from them.
A friend that works on the show, and she was gone for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I think she was like, oh, I just didn't like sleep at all.
That's
like
what
I was just always working. It's like,
pretty much. Yeah.
Couldn't talk to anybody. Like, just was too busy. Crazy. Yeah. I don't want to work in TV.
Yeah. I tried out for Hell's Kitchen twice now.
Oh, really?
The first time I made it through like 3 rounds of interviews and then they ghosted me.
Would you do Top Chef?
I don't know. I only tried out for Hell's Kitchen.
Or like Chopped maybe?
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. I
never know.
Everyone tells me I should be on a cooking show, and I'm like, I don't know if I would do that.
It's always different.
I'm not
like TV glamorizes.
Yeah, I would do
things.
Supermarket Sweep though.
Yeah,
that one seems fun. Just run around a grocery store,
grabbing random ingredients sounds fun.
Running fast,
and
then cooking it. Sure, I'll do that. That sounds pretty fun. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I like television.
Yeah, I don't like TV either. As I say that as I like scroll for hours on Instagram, but that's different.
Yeah. I mean, most people today don't even have like cable anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Or even have like YouTube TV or the other or whatever.
Yeah. I don't have any streaming things.
We just watch Netflix.
Yeah.
I guess.
Like if I want to pay to watch like one thing, I'll just pay the $3, but that's rare that I even do that.
But yeah, we don't have that anymore. So I feel like a lot of people don't watch the Food Network as much as they used to.
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't know. I'm not super in tune with that. Yeah, I'm not either. I'm just not. We're chefs. Like we just work.
Yeah. What Tell me your favorite in the weed story.
My favorite in the weed story. Oh man, I gotta think now.
Or a most recent one that pops up in your head.
I'll think of one. I'll just tell my first one.
Okay.
Because that's the first one that comes to mind. But I was at that little lobster shack, little
was it like a
seafood place.
Seafood
yeah,
boil?
little seafood place. And it was like my first couple weeks. Or I just learned the line, so I took a couple weeks to learn the line because it wasn't busy season yet. And then because I started it in June, and then July 4th is like our big time to be busy. And so I went in there like July 4th weekend. I think I like requested it off and like, cause you know, first year things. And I think they actually gave me one of the days, but then I was there like that Friday. So we were working, and I just remember it was like the first time ever seeing the ticket printer just like spit and spit and spit, and like literally like I feel like I looked down and then I looked up, and it was I looked down, it was 11 o'clock, I looked up, it was 3 o'clock. It was like I'd never experienced anything like that before, and it was so brutal, and it sucked, and it was awful, and my brain was fried, and it was only me and one other cook because it was such a small kitchen, and you couldn't fit more than 2 people. It was a 2-person line. It was like one of those situations where any more people, you just crash into each other. So it was just me and this one other guy who I didn't even get along with. Like, I remember this guy, like, this guy did not...
Communication was top tier.
This guy did not respect me at all. I feel like he was very skeptical about new hires.
Quiet, right?
No, he was actually pretty loud and outspoken, and he was really short. And it was just funny because there was one time, like, we didn't get along at first. After this rush, I feel like we did because I survived it. But
bonded.
Exactly.
Over trauma.
But before that, he would like almost like sabotage me, and like he like accidentally burnt me once. I still don't know if it was an accident or not. But yeah, it was me and him, and like the tickets were just coming out and going over and hitting the floor, and it was just nothing that crazy happened except that, but it was just my first time, and I had no idea what I was in for. But then it was after that, at like 3 o'clock, when the last order came through, and I finally looked up and I was like, oh my God, there's no tickets on the board. And I was actually like, that was really cool.
We got through it.
Yeah, I was like, I have to do that again. And I was like confused. I was like, didn't that suck? Why do you want it? And I was like, no, like I want to be good at this one day. And so I feel like that was kind of a pivotal moment because I sucked at it. I wasn't good.
But
I did
at
bad.
least you got through.
Because it was an open kitchen. So, and it was so open that people could even like come around. Like there was that kind of glass protector, but then you could come around and like literally go right up to the cooks and like ask them where your food is.
Oh my God.
It was the worst. Like, come on, someone stop them, please. You're only slowing us down. And so they would like come around and like ask where their food was. And it was just like, I was like, you guys have no idea. This is like my 3rd day on the line.
Yeah. Is your the ticket rail, was it long enough to fit all the tickets?
No,
or can you
I don't
only
think
fit
so.
like 8?
I feel like,
and then you have like more just
I feel like
you
once it's full, you just grab the string out and you put the string on the end, and you're just like, I'll get to
let
those when I get to those.
Yeah. I was grabbing like,
you can't let them go too far, because if they go too far, like
then they fall behind
the printer, then they fall down, and then
then
so
you're like putting the low boy or whatever is behind you, you're trying to figure out where it is.
Exactly.
Or like sometimes, I think there was one time that happened and like one ripped off, just one ticket, and it was just on the floor somewhere behind the low boy, couldn't find it, and then at the end of we got all the tickets done, we did it. It's like someone's like, oh, they didn't get their food, like, oh fuck.
See, now the server can say the kitchen lost your ticket and they wouldn't be lying.
Yes. That's the part you don't like to happen, is where you like think you're done, and then there's like one that went missing.
That
and
happened to me before, but it was like an hour after close. Like it was one of those days when you're cooking until like, we closed at 10 and it was 10:30 and we were still cooking, and then we thought we were done. We like closed down our fryer, turned off the equipment, and the server comes in and is like, hey, where's this tables? And we're like, we have no tickets. And then we ended up, since we had a wood-fired pizza oven, we're like, look, just comp their meal, tell them they can have pizza. Like, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah. Dang.
The worst. And it was like 11:45.
There was like no check-in, like, hey, I was wondering where this food is.
I mean, it was just bad communication overall, but it doesn't happen. Considering I can think of like 5 times I've lost the ticket in like 6 years. I feel like,
Mhm.
yeah, if you're at a restaurant, your server tells you the kitchen lost your ticket, they're probably lying.
They should never say that.
Yeah.
By the way, anyways, we're all on the same team, guys.
But maybe they're not lying.
Yeah.
They probably are, but there's a small chance they're not. So
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for today. It was really fun to have you in the studio.
yeah, thank you.
We're gonna have you on for another episode called Battle of the Houses. Y'all seen that before. So make sure you guys follow Ladylinecook on Instagram. Check out her book. Follow her. Say what's up. Say you're on Linecheck. All right, guys. Take it easy. Bye.